Welcome back, everybody. Today I am going to try to make a sofa table out of this old church pew. I start by using my jointer and table saw to take off the 80-plus-year-old tongue and groove. I believe these church pews were installed about in 1938 and were removed sometime in the 70s. The lumber's been in my family ever since. I use the jointer to flatten one face and then take it over to the planer for final thicknessing. So I run the boards through the planer to get them all to a nice even thickness, and then... What is it? Not again. I'm gonna have to get on the phone with Rigid Customer Service because this is wasting an awful lot of lumber. Okay, there it goes. Must have just got wrapped around the feed rollers or something. Since I don't have one of those fancy domino machines yet, I decided to lay out for some dowels to hold these boards together. I used my trusty self-centering dowel jig and drilled 4 3/8-inch holes down each joint. I cross-cut a piece slightly oversized to allow for trimming later, and then ripped out the pieces that would become the 4 legs. Since I don't have a bandsaw, I use the table saw to rip the pieces in half that are going to become the stretchers. I made the stretchers right at 3/4 of an inch thick. After ripping the stretchers to thickness, I cut them all down to 3 inches tall. Next, I started cross-cutting the stretchers to length, and for some reason my phone lost the audio about halfway through. Now here's a helpful tip. If you need to make repetitive cuts that are longer than your sled's stop will allow for, you can, depending on your sled's design, clamp a combination square to it to set up a new stop well past the end of the sled. I got this old Reliant brand hollow chisel mortiser at an estate sale for $20. I think it's better than not having one at all, but the jury's still out on that. I set up my dado stack and used my miter gauge to cut tenons on the end of all of the stretchers. I was originally going to taper the legs on the jointer, but the bed is too short for these legs, so I threw together a quick tapering jig for the table saw. The taper starts at 4 inches down and comes in a total of 1/4 of an inch. I didn't want the glue to start setting before I got this panel all assembled, so I just worked really fast. The reason I'm doing this panel glue up so long after I cut the pieces for it is that I had to go to the store and get more glue. But any reason for a trip to Woodcraft is a good one in my book. Phew, just made it. After the panel came out of the clamps, I squared up one end on the crosscut sled and then cut it to its final length, which was 60 inches. After I got done with all of the sanding, I glued all the things, clamped all the things, and then waited for all the things to dry. My least favorite part of the project. I tilted the saw blade to 15 degrees and put a bevel on the underside of the top to reduce some of the visual weight and keep it from looking like a big thick slab. I cut several recesses in the stretchers to accept these figure 8 fasteners. You have to cut these little corners off with a chisel so that the fastener can rotate as the top expands and contracts. This table is for my sister's house, and she wanted it stained dark to match the rest of her furniture. She chose General Finish's espresso, and it came out nearly black. After the stain and a couple of coats of finish had dried, I attached the top to the base using the other side of those figure 8 fasteners. I intentionally left the original finish on the inside of the long stretchers as a hidden nod to the wood's first life as a church pew. After that, I sanded down all the drips in the finish and applied one more coat. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me build this table. Got it all set up here, ready for serving. My traditional cheese and crackers and some sparkling cider because tonight's New Year's Eve and this Christmas present is late. I like the ones with the little sugar sprinkles on it. That may have been sawdust. No.